right, class. So, Math 8, this is today's homework help video. This is fraction review. So, we're going to review how to subtract fractions. When you subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. You have to have a common denominator. Okay, so here we have a whole number 5, okay, and we're subtracting 2 and 1/3. So, I'm going to put 5 here, and I'm going to put minus 2 and 1/3. Okay, I'm going to write this 5 as a fraction. There's a couple ways that I could do this problem. Make sure it's not blurry. There we go. I am going to decompose this number, or what some of your teachers may have called it in the past um, is borrow or break that number down. Okay, so I'm going to borrow, which is really decomposing the 5, and I'm going to make it 4, and since the denominator is 3 here, I'm going to do 3 over 3. I could do 5 over 5, 6 over 6, 7 over 7, as long as it's equal to 1, because 1 plus this whole number 4 is equivalent to 5. So really, this fraction, this mixed number is equal to 5, because 3 over 3 is 1, and 1 plus 4 is 5. I'm writing it this way so that I can subtract the mixed number 2 and 1/3. So I'm just going to bring this over, 2 and 1/3. And I made it a 3 so that I wouldn't have to find a common denominator. Now I can subtract. I'm going to subtract my numerators first. 3 minus 1 is going to give me 2. Denominator stays the same. 4 minus 2 is going to give me 2. Make sure that your fraction is reduced, and it is. 2 over 3 is reduced. So my answer here is 2 and 2 over 3, or 2 and 2/3. So now I'm going to do the second one. All right, I'm going to do that second one. Well, it's going down it. Well, that's okay. I'm going to do this one, the one right next to it. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it so that it's vertical, up and down. It's just easier to solve that way. Again, when you're subtracting fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to look at my denominators. I'm going to find my least common multiple, like I did in last night's homework. My least common multiple is 8. So I'm going to use 8 as my common denominator. Then to make this an equivalent fraction, I think in my head, what times 4 is going to give me 8? 2 will. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2, and that's going to give me 6. Okay? Here I'm going to get 1, and I'm going to bring over the whole number 1. So now I'm going to subtract. I have 1 minus 6 is going to give me, oh, guys, I can't even do that, right? So I have to decompose this number. So decompose or borrow. Let me do that out to the side. Let me do that this way. We have 1 and 1/8. I'm decomposing, some of you say borrow, from this 1, which is going to make this 0. But the 1 that I borrow, I'm going to add to the 1 over 8. So I'm going to add 8 over 8 so I don't have to find a common denominator. But remember, 8 over 8 is 1. That's the one that I borrowed to make this fraction bigger. So in order to make the fraction bigger, I decompose or borrow from the whole number 1, which is going to make that a 0. But the one that I borrow is 8 over 8. I can do 8 over 8, 9 over 9, 10 over 10. I can do any of those numbers. However, I'm going to choose to do 8 over 8 so that I don't have to find a common denominator to add the fractions together. So this is going to be 9 over 8. The denominator stays the same. Can you see that? Okay, let me write this just a little bit darker. 9 over 8. Okay, this is 9 over 8. Okay, all right, so now I am going to write that over. I'm going to write that over here at 9 over 8. So I'm going to erase this, and I converted this to 9 over 8, which is the same as this. They're equal. Okay, I have a common denominator. My common denominator is 8. Now I can subtract my numerators. 9 minus 6 is 3. Make sure that my fraction is reduced, and it is reduced. Okay? It is reduced. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again with the next problem. Remember, you can pause, you can rewind, you can watch it again. That's the beauty of a video, okay? All right, so I'm going to write it vertically. This is 17 minus the whole number, 4, and the fraction, 5 over 9. Okay, so I am going to decompose the 17 again, or borrow from the 17 to make a fraction. So this is going to be 16, right? So I have 16, and the fraction that I'm going to use, the one that I'm going to, the fraction I'm going to use is 9 over 9. I'm using 9 over 9 so that I don't have to find a common denominator when I subtract the fractions. But 9 over 9 is 1. This 1 plus 16 is 17. So these are equal, okay? Now I'm going to bring this over. This is minus 4 and 5/9. Right? So now I can subtract. Let's subtract my numerators. 9 minus the 5 is 4. Denominator stays the same, which is 9. Subtract my whole numbers now. 16 minus 4 is going to give me 12. Let's reduce the fraction. We're going to reduce the fraction. We'll reduce, we divide both the top and the bottom by the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor between these two, there isn't one, is it? So we're going to keep it as 4 over 9. Okay. All right. So now, please make sure that you do the others on your own. Please make sure you do the others on your own. You're going to find a common denominator. This one looks a little different, so I'll do this one, okay? We have 3, and we have 5 over 12, minus 1, and we have 15 over 16, okay? We're going to find a common denominator between the 12 and the 16. So let's do 16 first, okay? Let me see, can I reduce any of these? No. So let's do 16. All right, so the first multiple, let me get a side piece of paper. The highest denominator is 16, so I'm going to do the multiples of 16. All right, I'm going to do the multiples of 16. 16 times 1 is 16. That's the first multiple. Okay, 12 will not go into 16. I cannot use 16 as a denominator, okay, as a common denominator. Then I have 16 times 2 is 32. Okay, 12 will not go into 32 without a remainder. Okay, it doesn't work out perfectly, so I can't use the second multiple. Let's do 16 times 3. That's 48. Okay, 12 will go into 48. 48 divided by 12 is going to give me 4. So I can use 48 as my common denominator. So we're going to do 48. All right. So what number can I multiply times 16 to give me 48? Well, this is 1, 2, 3. I can multiply times 3. So I'm going to multiply the top by 3 also. So now I have 15 times 3, which is 45. So I have, let me move this down a little bit so I can have some space. It doesn't look so cluttered. So this is 48, and this is 45 on the top. All right, so let's make this equivalent fraction. What can I multiply times 12 to give me the 48? Okay, and that's 4. So I'm going to multiply the top by 4, and that gives me 20. Okay, so now I can, bring over the whole number is 3. Bring over the whole number is 1. Okay, so now I can subtract, right? I can subtract. So when I subtract my numerators. I can't subtract 20 minus 45. So I'm going to decompose this. I'm going to do it out to the side. Actually, I'm going to do it on my little note card so I can save my space. So let's decompose this fraction to make it bigger so that I can subtract. Remember, we borrow. Some people say borrow. This is going to make this whole number 2. The one that we borrow, we're going to say 48 over 48. 48 over 48 is 1. Okay, we're going to add it to this fraction and make it bigger so that we can subtract. So here we have 68 on the top and 48 on the bottom, and bring over the whole number 2. Okay, so this is going to be, erase this, okay, 2 and 68 over 48. Now I can successfully subtract. So remember, your denominator stays the same, and you're going to subtract 68 minus 45. So I have 68 minus 45, and that gives me 23. Then I subtract my whole numbers, 2 minus 1. That gives me 1. So this is going to be my answer here. All right. So see if you can do the other problems on your own. Okay. See if you can do the other problems on your own. If you have more questions, please make sure that you ask your questions. Okay. Have a wonderful and great night, y'all. Don't forget to start your project. Okay. Bye.